we're actually going to go back to work on our twin turbo 300ZX. So last video, we actually kind of baited you guys and said that, well, we're done with this car, we're parting it out, sick of it, let's get it on. Well, that's not entirely true. When the car was smoking, when we originally first started it up, I was pretty suspicious of what it could be, but the smell is kind of hard to miss. Let's just say if you've started enough fully refreshed motors with new gaskets and all that, you kind of just know the smell. About 95% sure that all that smoke and smell is coming purely from exhaust manifold and exhaust system gaskets. Whenever you heat them up the first time, they do smoke sometimes, depending on the brand. I will admit I was a little thrown off that there was smoke only coming from one side. However, we did fire this thing up yesterday. We let it run for a while, probably 30 minutes. No smoke, definitely not as crazy as it was the other day. Even when we brought a big bright light out here, still couldn't see much smoke. Haven't seen any leaks. So far, everything's been good. Let's pop the hood, and there are a couple things that we do need to do to this to tune it up and get it running right. First thing, or I guess both of them, are pertaining to the idle. We actually need to set the idle air control valve because it's idling way too high. And at the same time, we need to sync both of our throttle bodies. So I was doing a little bit of testing yesterday before I decided that, okay, I'm not gonna keep fixing everything because this is good information for you guys. And I found a couple ways to kind of show you what's going on and why you need to check these out. So one of the first things is gonna have to do with setting our TPS. The reason why we couldn't set our TPS correctly is, well, it sets correctly until you push the throttle the rest of the way down. So right here, you can see that much play. That's how much play this throttle body linkage and butterfly valve has that this side doesn't. So this side is staying completely shut while we have that much play over here on our driver's side. And as far as the idle control goes, the idle would change about 300 RPMs between clicks or resting position on the throttle. And also it sounds like a massive air leak back here at the idle air control. So basically that's telling me we have way too much air going through there. You can usually hear it anyways, but now it sounds terrible. We took some brake cleaner, sprayed it everywhere. Zero air leaks in that area, so it's not an actual leak. First thing we're going to pull out here is our trusty multimeter. So we're taking this out so we can test our voltage at our throttle position sensor. So basically you want to probe the white wire here on either side, and I just bent another injector clip, coolant connector clip, whatever, thing that sits right there. So you're probing in here to either you can touch the wire or the actual pin itself inside of the connector, so that way you can put some alligator clips on it and read the voltage supplied so you can set it correctly. Now, theoretically to set this correctly, you want to take these off so you can look at the throttle bodies and how much they're opening inside. We're just going to pull these covers off and we're going to mess with the adjuster screw right there. And that right there is our adjuster screw right there. So the way that this works is if you want to move one side, you'll crack this loose to where you can put a flathead right there in that. Then as you twist that, you're going to tighten the linkage between side to side, but I'm actually going to pull these off so you guys can see what's going on. Now when you got those off, we'll show you here. This is how much we're strictly moving this. I don't have much light, I hope you guys can see. So you see how much that's moving? If that's moving, your butterfly valve's moving. Check the side. Nothing. You can, there's a little arm right there beside it. You can see that moving. So that's showing that there's slack in this linkage, so they're actually not opening together. So let's fix that. Take an 8mm wrench, crack this nut loose, and grab yourself a flathead to fit the gap. I'm going to test by tightening first, seeing which way that goes. Okay, that gives it more slack, so it looks like we need to loosen it. Do it about one full turn. Significantly less amount of play here. So let's back it out, half turn. See that? Now there's virtually no play right there in the linkage. Only reason it's kind of wobbling is because that nut's so loose. Now tighten that nut up, and to do this you're actually going to need to use your screwdriver and your wrench, because you're going to have to hold this screw in the right position as you tighten the nut below. If not, it'll just turn the screw. It doesn't have to be crazy tight, it's pretty small, as long as it's snug. That's not going nowhere. So I guess I should have showed you guys this reading before we fix that. So let's kind of throw this out of whack real quick. Now we're going to take our multimeter, put it on voltage, turn our key to on, hook our jump pack up to the battery so that way we actually get the full 12 volts, even though we're only going to be reading on a 5-volt range. Now this is where alligator clips come in handy, in my opinion, because you don't have to worry about probing anything. You just hook them up and read. And we're going to hook this up to our shock bolt, and then we're going to put our power over here to read that white wire from our gray oval TPS connector. Now let's go power up the car, and we'll show you guys the difference here. So this is our reading right now in volts. Don't do this test by ohms. Always do it by volts. You will get so many substantially odd readings doing ohms. If I went by ohms, I have probably 8 used units. Every single one of them would be bad if I went by ohms. All of them test good in the voltage range and actually work, so the more you know. Our goal is 0.45 at the resting position. So right now we are fully rested and all the way down. So we don't forget we still have all this slack. So right here, while we're still completely closed at 4.2, if we open this to the rest of the slack to adjust for the wonkiness, it puts us up to 0.5 volts. Before we go any farther, let's put these on and let's show you guys what that does when you're actually revving the car. So we just fired it up. Let's give it just a little bit of a second to kind of catch up before we go start revving on it. 4.17, still running about where we were. Push it down all the way, see if it changes. Slowest reading that we get. Check out what happens when we actually put this up to the other like off wonky resting position. When you hit it and the idle jumps down like it's choking itself out because it's surging air when it's not accounting for it. My fault, it actually is accounting for it because it's reading on the sensor, but the other side staying closed. So you got one bank being fed and the other side not actually being fed when the computer thinks it is. So it bogs down when you do that jump. So that's pretty much why we're fixing it. So now when we do that, it's actually revving. It's not falling on its face now that we have that sunk. Much better. Let's actually move on to the idle air control. So to adjust your idle air control, you want to make sure you have no boost leaks, because if not, you're going to be accounting for air that's not there, and it's going to rev higher because it's pulling in air that it's not accounting for. So here on the back of the motor, it's really hard to see, but you got a yellow connector. That's your idle air control connector. So what you want to do with that is you actually want to pull that off. And that's sometimes tricky when you have all the clips on. So pull that off, and your idle should drop about 50 if it's working correctly. We managed to pull the connector. Your best friend is going to be this curved little pick and a magnet to get that off without losing it. So we unplugged it, and the idle dropped significantly. So now we're idling at about 14 when it was like 16. So presumably we had a really wonky idle air control. So our big trusty screwdriver wasn't working. We managed to get this little dinky flathead in here. Basically we can actually turn it. If you listen, as we turn it clockwise, the idle drops, because we're restricting the airflow to that idle air control. Now you want to do this till you set your car. Manuals are 750 RPMs and autos are 800. Feel free to check your factory service manual for that. Right now we're idling about 1,000. We may just leave it here for now before we start going too crazy on the rest of it. We're having some hesitation. Okay. She's gonna choke out and die. So that really tells me that we probably have a boost leak somewhere that we need to address. Kind of stinks, but maybe we'll just bump that idle up a little bit. We also did never plug the connector back in. So let's restart it and do just that. So now when I start it, I have to start it with the gas. Now that I think about it, there is something that really bums me out about this car before we sell it. Throwout bearings making a terrible noise, so we have to change that before we let it go. Now when we plug this in, the idle should raise a little bit. Okay, so it raises. The problem is it's just not staying. As soon as I let go of the connector, it drops back down into the mode like it's unplugged. Sweet. So now we got to find a way to really get that connector secured on there so it's constantly making that contact and it's not in that weird limbo of, hey, we're open, just rev high. So see if we can kind of pinpoint this and we'll be back. So we got everything together. Well, we're just going to kind of take it for a couple drives up and down the yard because I don't really know what else to do right now. I mean, having some funky problems. I know I still don't have my boost controller set up. That's one of the big things that I need before we do everything else, but I did notice when I was revving the car a minute ago, we've got quite a bit of smoke on D-cell from the driver's side, so assuming the worst, but I'm hoping for the best. Sounds good. I don't know. Let's beat Bob through the yard for a second. I guess see how it handles or drives, see how the power steering works. Because we do have a fully manual clutch right now. We have no booster. Far it feels pretty good. Other than it being a million degrees. Got the car up at the house with the sun shining on it up here. It definitely needs a wash. It's kind of the downfall of having that gravel driveway. I think it's so dirty. At the same time, that green in the sun goes so hard. I guess now is the time. Let's start cleaning the inside of this up. Got all kinds of stuff from previous owner, little piddly stuff. All kinds of little stuff back here that needs swept up too. So we're just gonna set you guys up on this mount and we may just do a time lapse until we can get all of this cleaned out. Now we've got everything nice and tidy. Definitely looks a lot cleaner than it did. I think it's time we pull the car back down and we attempt to put a bumper on it. If we get the bumper on it, that'll allow me to take sufficient pictures of this thing to post up a feeler ad and actually post it this time. I did kind of do one for a part out, like a part out feeler. Had some people message me and I have a guy wanting to buy the thing outright, so we'll see. Let's just get it presentable first. Psych, we went ahead and just thought it was better to bring everything up here A, there's a little bit of shade, and B, the hose is up here so we can wash the car as soon as we're all finished up. You can see right there how detrimental this gravel dirt drive is to me. So filthy. So we're pretty much just going to go right up and mount this thing on. Actually, before we do, we're going to put some brackets in here, right here, so we can strengthen this up, because there's actually metal brackets from the factory. That would be these. So pretty much it looks like they forgot to drill the spot out here so you can mount them. So odds are we're probably just going to put the bracket in its place and bolt it right there and just use the bracket, you know. Since we actually have the bracket, you can kind of see how big of a washer you need. So let's go ahead and try fitting this up. If we have to, we'll just put some bolts in from here to here to just hold it in place so we can slide our bracket into place. Throw another nut or bolt in. That'll hold it roughly where we need it. So now we can place this where it needs to be. Bracket number 2. I feel like this whole bumper mounting thing has went on a little bit too long, so let's finish it off. Just like that, we got the nose panel, bumper fully mounted, and nearly flush back here. We got this little bit of overhang. It looks like the bumper needs to shift over a little bit. See right there, the bump comes out here, body line's moved over maybe like quarter, half inch at most, realistically a quarter, and that side's off a little bit. So whoever mounted the thing, that's actually on them. Here's they drilled the holes slightly half inch off, so that's what we get. We're not going to be fixing someone else's mistakes though. That'll take more time than we really need to allow to that. Now we need to fire this thing up, which I'm really excited to actually see the bumper, the hood and everything shut, because I've never seen this car with the bumper fully mounted like it is. Then we get to wash this bad boy. Hopefully we'll sell it, get our money's worth, and be able to move on. Let's go look for our sponge, soap, and a bucket. We've officially found the sponge. I thought it was a different color, so I kind of lost track and didn't really know what I was looking for. That old dish soap can't do. We finally managed to wash the whole car. The back half looks really good, but the front, it's looking pretty gnarly up here with all kinds of watermarks and just streaks. So we're gonna look for a microfiber towel and we're gonna try to rub all of this out. Let's go ahead and just finish off the whole car because we got a lot of this to do and it's super hot outside. Good 15 minutes later, got about all the water spots out, especially on the glass. The paint was a lot easier like I figured it would be. And there's one thing I did not notice. I don't know what you could see, but there is a major dirt line from where I did not fully get under the spoiler. Yeah, you can definitely see it there. Forgot right here too. Oops. Now that the Z's all cleaned up, let's pop the hood, let's jump it, and take it back for some pictures. all made it down to the barn, and does this thing look good. Still, I can't get over them jams. How nice that just made this car look in general. Honestly, that's the extra mile. Clean your jams, clean all them dusty spots like in the nitty gritty that, you know, people just usually overlook. You'll thank yourself later. Man, cleaning that paint up definitely did it some wonders. Honestly, I think that's where we're gonna end it. We're about to go post it up on Marketplace, see kind of what we get, any offers, this and that, all the flame and hate and this and that. I can't wait for that. That's one of my favorite things of selling stuff on Facebook. I think now that leaves us, yeah, I know we got a lot of stuff we can do. If we sell this, we can get a chip for that. We can get brakes for this, fuel injector adapter kit, maybe a carrier bearing. We can get this taken care of, get it out of here. It's our final 3 things. And we're actually thinking of buying a motor so we can throw an NA motor into our slick top for now, just to be able to move it around and stuff. But we'll let you guys know a little more about that when the time comes. But actually, I think it's time, and we're a little overdue for this Z. I think we're actually going to be pulling this up to the chopping block next. Not to actually chop it, but you know, to actually start working on it. Need to gut the interior. We need to clean it out, convert it to black, get all the rest of that red out. And we actually need to go to Missouri to pick up some new white doors. And we can officially make this thing all one color, with the exception of the rocker border two-tone that they did. Oh, I guess we need a bumper too still. If you're close to Indiana and you got a super white 2-seater bumper, let me know, Instagram, comments, wherever. I'll need one eventually. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys liked the video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe down below, as it really helps our channel, helps bump us up in the algorithms, and helps the channel grow, and in turn, better content. So thank you guys again, and until next time, peace.